my dad taught me how to do the basics of video editing when I was 13 years old. And it just kind of was one of those things that me and my brothers would do something stupid out in the backyard, do goofy skits about us on the old basketball goals. Went from there to doing a little bit more thought out productions, in particular some of my high school friends, Tyler Blunt being one of them. I worked a summer camp job my first summer out of high school, so right before freshman year of college. And with the money and with that, I bought a $300 full set that was a camcorder with some like specialty lenses. What all did it come with? I mean, it was basically nothing, but you know, it was mine. It was my camera that I could then use, and I took that to college, and that's what we used for years to just make these dumb short films that were awesome. And you know, I'm 12 years removed from that now, and I'm sitting here talking to, you know, a $1,500 camera with a $200 microphone attached to it, with hundreds more in audio and lighting stuff sitting around, and this is what I do for a living, and it's just weird to look at that now. I spent a long time making something out of nothing. And if there's one thing that I can appreciate because of that, it's that equipment can only carry you so far. If you don't have an idea behind it, if you don't have a purpose behind it, equipment can only carry you so far. So things have opened up themselves to the possibility of doing a podcast tonight. Run for a few years now, a podcast covering soccer news about Liverpool, Premier League team Liverpool, with a couple of guys, and we're going to try to do our first ever live streaming episode of it. So this is liable to be a disaster. Got a pretty simple, straightforward setup here. Of course, you've got your Yeti. Can't get a better USB mic than that. Run it through Google Hangouts normally, which is why we're doing a live stream with it this time around. And got it hardwired as a safety to the router. Easy setup. Doing a podcast. Welcome to this episode of You'll Never Talk Alone, being recorded and live streamed at the same time for the first time ever. Not sure if anyone will turn up to the live stream, but an exciting thing to be doing regardless. Here we are. I'm Joseph Craven. Alex Lebel is here. Alex, how are you tonight?
Could be better, you know. Yeah, pretty much sums it up right there.
Yeah, it really does. The deadline window, the deadline day, and the transfer window.
One of the first things that came up in my mind is there are a lot of retired people that live near me that walk, and they like to stop and talk and have conversations. And if I could do that, I would stop and talk to them more. And not just like, hey, how you doing, kind of fill them in about the kids, but I would be curious about their life. I would find a way to have more time with my kids on their turf. I would be more curious about what my daughter's like. It grows and changes, and I feel like I'm behind the eight ball. I would do most of what I do already. Right now, at this particular season, whether life has put me into it or I've made some shifts and choices, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm feeling like I'm being really true to myself. And yeah, there's some things I could leave them for sure. But yeah, those ones are the big ones. Kind of doing the outdoor business thing that I'm doing the men's ministry stuff here at the church, small groups. Yes, I mean I think I would keep doing that, and I would readjust myself in order to spend time with the people that I really feel like I need to spend it with. And probably should do that anyway. Yeah. I want to go see my grandma. She's, you know, I want my kids to see my grandma. She lives 7 hours away. I could choose to go see her. I could choose to go visit my sisters and my family, and I don't do a great job of that. So I would do that. I would blow some things off in order to keep certain people closer in the circle. Now I think about it, I think I'm gonna start doing that actually. I'm still young enough to where I feel like I don't want other people to think I'm blowing them or work things off. And so I err on the side of caution with that. I mean, in my personal financial world, it's there are some obstacles to being able to travel and go see some people.
Yeah, and a lot of these are
pretty normal.
Yeah, and like legitimate reasons that
Yeah.
like you can't do some of these things, you know.
Yep. I would turn notifications off a whole lot more. Man, it's a manageable obstacle, but I think I would sit down and talk to my wife about this, and then I would take some steps toward making it be able to happen. Somehow going to see these people, somehow going to maybe eat lunch with my kids more often, and just kind of work out a schedule for that kind of stuff. I know that sounds really simple, but man, it's amazing how we just kind of miss each other all the time with our schedules. Which brings to light the big one, and that is I would choose to be less busy. Be okay with being a disappointment to some people, because there's some people not wanting to disappoint.
So what have I actually learned so far in this experiment? Well, what seems to stand out is that everyone I asked, everyone pretty much said they had something to do, but it just would be a little bit different than what they're doing now, probably. What I've learned is that people need to work, but that work is a complicated thing. We seem to love this idea of, you know, getting rich enough where we never have to work again. We love that concept. We love the lottery concept. And I think there's a lot of people out there that really are lazy enough where if they won the lottery, they would never work again. But I think for most people, we want to be doing something. And if we were to grade work on a scale of finances, flexibility, and fulfillment, it got me thinking a lot about that fulfillment little checkbox. If we're rating that on a scale of 1 to 10, it seems as though what is really important to us in life is finding fulfillment in work. We could find something to do that can get us up to like a 7 or an 8 on that fulfillment scale, but it seems like there's always something else. There's another something out there that will get us to a perfect 10. So really what I think I've learned is not that we are wired to want to work, but we're wired to want to find fulfillment in work. And that work continually disappoints us. But if the ultimate lesson here is that work cannot reach a perfect 10 in fulfillment, then what do we do with that? Well, I know at the very least what I can do with it. Because when I asked myself this question of, you know, what would I do if earning money wasn't an issue? Well, ultimately I was able to come up with a few concrete ideas, and everyone I talked to was able to come up with a few concrete ideas. But when I wondered, well, what's stopping me from doing any of that right now, there wasn't a whole lot there. Some people really do have, you know, distinct limitations on what is keeping them from doing the things that they want to do on a small scale every day. But for me, if I just wanted to spend 6 to 8 hours a day creating stuff that I wanted to create, there was nothing other than my own laziness and fatigue stopping me from doing that on a 2-hour-a-day scale. There's something freeing in recognizing that maybe, just maybe, the productivity I seek cannot be a perfect 10 in fulfillment. And that's okay. But it's something that can't be figured out in just, you know, a few weeks of experimenting with, you know, these efforts and wrestling with these questions. So it's something I'm going to keep fighting for every day as I explore other topics, as I try to create more videos, as I try to dig in deeper to some of the bigger questions. Maybe for me, just the exploration of that is fulfilling. I don't know. But when I really ask myself what's stopping me from really exploring any of that, there's nothing. So I'll leave you with the two questions that I asked myself, and then I asked a lot of people when exploring this topic. What would you do if you didn't have to spend so much of your time earning money to survive? If your needs were met, what would you do with that time? And what's stopping you from starting me that right now?